We'll now be moving on to Marie Davis from Credu Carer Support Service in Paris. Marie?
Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, Marie.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. Yeah, so focusing on what happened really in lockdown around Respite. I work with sorry, I'm just trying to get this looking good and seeing things at the same time. There we go. So Credi is a network partner of Carers Trust, supporting adult carers and young carers of all ages and all types in Mid Wales and Powys. And I've been working on the Creative Respite project, which has been in the making for a long time, actually, listening to carers with organisations such as Credi and Third Sector, with commissioners and people, carers sharing their experiences about what was going well and not so well for them in getting a break, in having a manageable caring role. So after listening to carers about their experiences, part of it was getting more involved, and there was a carer steering group developed that was attached to the Regional Partnership Board, and there was identified some funding from the ICF, Welsh Government funding, and a project with looking at bespoke respite tailored to individuals to support life alongside caring. Sometimes when people hear the word respite or short breaks, it can feel like certain things, especially more traditional services. So it was about finding what matters for people and making that happen. And I had a job and a role to make really cool things happen. And then lockdown happened. A lot of what I'm thinking about has actually been already mentioned about what respite, what short breaks can look like, and it's ways of people having support and feeling that their caring role is manageable alongside life, and focusing on individual grants and also how we adapted to online. Here's Dylan Owen, who was one of the listeners and the commissioners.
Dylan Owen dwi'n gweithio i gwasanaethau cymdeithasol ym Mhowys. I'm Dylan Owen, I work for Social Services in Powys. This is a great service that we're talking about, that Credi are now providing. It's a bespoke respite service. Mae'n wasanaeth arbennig ac unigryw sydd yn darparu ysbaid i bobl sydd angen gofal ac i ofalwyr mwyn rhoi cefnogaeth iddyn nhw, mwyn sicrhau bod nhw'n gallu cario ymlaen gyda darparu gofal, gyda rhoi gofal i wenwyliad, ac mae o'n hollol unigryw. Mae o'n edrych ar beth mae rhywun i angen ac wedyn yn darparu hwnnw. Gwneud y beth iawn, llai o arian yn aml iawn, ond gwneud y beth iawn ac yn hyrwyddo annibyniaeth i unigolion, yn eu cefnogi nhw. Ni mor falch bod ni'n cydweithio gyda Credi ar hyn. It's a great service, it's unique, it provides bespoke respite care, it enables carers to continue to provide the care that's needed, it enables people to live independently, often providing small items in order to enable people to live independently and to support the carers to have that break, to have that essential break to enable them to continue in their roles. We're so proud that we're working with Credi and doing this work, and we wish it every success. Diolch.
So as other people said, traditional forms of respite in services, but also everyday breaks, going to work, going to school, going to college, you know, they're not available. People were allowed out for essential things like shopping and their exercise, but for many families that it was significant about how much the world had changed and how life as it wasn't there. Heard from carers who would have paid workers coming in, really reducing that to the minimum because it didn't feel safe. On the other hand, we have families where routine and structure are really important, and that was really hard to deal with as well. Here in the next slide, Mandy is a parent carer for her daughter Polly, and Mandy's been working with Credi this year on a development programme, one to see how working alongside caring can work, but also how bringing to carers locally can support them.
So when COVID hit, I felt a bit like it was welcome to our world. So for quite a time with my daughter being so poorly, we was unable to get out. So we were quite locked at home and not very able to go to sort of get out and go and do things like perhaps other parents could. So when COVID hit, it was a bit of a light bulb moment for me. It was a bit like, oh, we've been living like this for quite a number of years. And so it was interesting, that flip of, people getting out and about, and then now they can't get out and sort of like going on social media. And we hit it running, we quickly learned how to use Zoom, and I think my job really helped sort of pursue that, because without getting on the internet and doing things, we were going to be very isolated. So I feel Credi especially, myself and a colleague were the first to get on Zoom and have a go, and we just set up a little bit of a craft group, thought see how it could go, see if anyone's interested. It was something that we really enjoyed and wanted to share with other carers, and it was a way of bringing people together and feeling less lonely. And to me, going online has just been really amazing. It's, as a parent carer as well as someone working for Credi, it's invaluable what I've learned through COVID, but especially around the internet side, because I envisage this being carried forward in the future for a long, long time. And I feel it's now included people that can't get out of the house, and showed us other ways of being able to connect with people. And I hear it as well from a lot of the carers and friends of mine that, with lockdown, it's persuaded people to get on the internet a bit more, to link up with people, and actually it's another form of communicating with people other than meeting up face to face. Don't get me wrong, I love face to face, but when you've got a child with complex needs and can't get out more, that you're obviously often not able to do that. So for me, the light bulb moment for me was COVID, and how it was just welcome to our world, because we've been living like this for quite a while, really.
So Mandy was a great example of somebody, so her thing was craft, it's what she loved. So she took the opportunity to share that and invite other carers into that world, and ended up working with the Credi team about offering a weekly regular craft. Other sessions popped up, but it was craft one that was first. And they actually have a group of friends now. It's not a service, it's a friendship group. That's really important. Other online things that we've done are amazing things I've never heard of. Twitch. We've done some wellbeing webinars about staying well, mindset, cuppa and chats, a group Cymraeg, so Welsh language group with our colleagues in Gofalwyr, Ceredigion carers. Meetings for carers and people living with autism, sharing experiences, and amazing things will come out of that. Moving things virtual, groups, information sessions. And recently a regular activity hour every afternoon, and the numbers for that are growing as people get more confident, especially in the winter months as well, when getting out and about is just harder and less pleasurable than it was in the summer. So Respite in lockdown, we had plans which weren't going to be possible. Bringing people together just not possible. So it was thinking, what can we do? So we wrote out to all of the carers at the start of lockdown to remind people that we were here, and if things are getting tough, we also kept in contact with people by telephone. But we said, as part of the project, there was funding available to make things happen, but we needed help to know what that looked like for people and what would make a difference. And so individuals start coming forward and saying, in their world right now, for them, what would make a difference? And then it was responding to that, really. So we, because a lot of this is for individuals and family contact, you know, the individual grants was a key way that we did this. We were looking around at different methods of you know, getting the resources out there and where they make a difference. Over the years, we've invested a lot in collaborative communication training and using those skills, very active listening, very outcome focused. And again, collaborative communication is about understanding how things are, how we want them to be, what's getting in the way, using the carers' own strengths, the strengths around them, the things they already have, understanding what's getting in the way of the thing they want happening. And sometimes a little bit of money have really helped overcome that. So listening and understanding what matters. Because it's bespoke, we're designing with a carer what that looks like. And that can be quite tricky. People are really used to saying what's available or what not, or, you know, this is available for these certain type of people. So to start from what would make a difference, what does that look like? And we purposely didn't put strict eligibility, strict funding levels. A lot of sometimes grants are like, you can have £300 for this. So sometimes it was a bit tricky for people to get that, but we were working with people using open questions to really discover and uncover what that looked like. Then we tried to make the actually grant approval, accountability, responsibility as smooth as possible. So we used collaborative communication mentoring styles, a conversation between the worker that heard the story and the manager to check out on a case-by-case basis to understand what was happening, understand what the solution was, where it come from. And some of these things are really weird and wonderful, but when you hear the stories, when it's kind of like, this is what's going on, this is what they've identified, and this is the difference they think it will make, it makes perfect sense. But sometimes the items on their own are just so random. And even I've had a text saying, oh, you know, or an email saying, I'm going to talk to you about this case, this is what they want. And I'm like, really? And a lot of the families as well, if they could make these things happen themselves, they would. These are families who money is tight. It was tight before, living on benefits. When you add in furlough, redundancies, Powys also has a lot of self-employed people, and financial support for that was really hard as well. So then it's making it happen and finding out the difference it makes.
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. It's just to give you a sort of 2-minute warning, and I know you've got quite a few slides to go.
Yeah.
So
I tell you what,
I'll
skip to the best bit, which is now a carer saying how it worked for them. If you don't mind, because I could talk all day. Thank you, Don, so much.
We'll make sure all the slides are circulated afterwards. Thanks. But if you could just maybe focus on one or two just to finish off. Thank you.
Okay. So bear with me while I really skip ahead, because I really want to show you there's some pictures. I'm going to skip ahead to listening to a carer. Thank you so much, Don.
Hi, my name's Vicky Morris. I'm a youth intervention worker, a mum of 2 sons, a hairdresser and a makeup artist, and since COVID, I've realised that I'm actually a carer too. I just want to tell you a little bit of my story and how the Respite Fund has impacted and made such a significant difference on my life. At the beginning of lockdown, I'm a one-parent family. My son is 19, he has ASD, ADHD and mental health issues. And not really just because of COVID, he was struggling with his mental health. And my way of coping was to go out on my bike in the mornings and sometimes in the afternoons, just to allow myself to be able to still carry on with my job, my day job, supporting young people and their families, but also to be able to support my son as well. So in order to be able to support my mental health, I used to go out on a daily basis, twice daily really, sometimes on my bike. And then one day I got back home and my bike had been playing up, and I put it in the garage and it literally fell apart. And actually I fell apart too. I just sat down on the garage floor and started to cry, because I was just realising I just didn't know how I would cope to be able to support my son without my bike. And I just happened to talk in a professional capacity about a family that I was supporting with Sally Duckers from Credo. And we got onto the subject of, she'd asked me how my son was, and I told her all about my bike. And she said, well, you know, Nikki, you're a carer too. And I was like, oh, no, you know. So we got onto it, and Sally then referred me to the fund. So traditional ways that we've worked, you know, and I think organisations have worked prior to lockdown. So COVID has really made us think outside the box, because, you know, like, who'd have thought, you know, respite in the form of a bike would have made such a difference. And, you know, I honestly didn't think that I would be coming out of lockdown with a son. And I'm not saying that, you know, it's just the bike that's made the difference, but actually for my own mental health and well-being, having that bike and being able to get away and have a little bit of respite and a bit of time for me has probably saved both of us. So I just can't thank you enough.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Marie, and what a lovely thing to end on. And you know, it was great to have the other voices as well through your presentation. And I'm just sorry we have run out of time. We always knew that was going to be a bit of a problem for us, so I'm sorry that was the case.